Today on the Relationship Renovation podcast, we are so excited because we have a couple with us who has just one of the most beautiful stories, Dave and Suzanne. Stay tuned because their story is really inspiring and also just really touching.
How many years did it go by where it took for you guys to come back together?
30 plus, I'd say.
30 plus years.
You're my safe space. And I appreciate that you've given me that safety net.
Is so important. And I do agree with you. People don't realize that, but to sit and work through, because we all carry all this baggage from our old stuff, and to say this relationship is our absolute priority and we want to do it right.
I'm just super proud of her.
Proud of you too.
Hello, all, and welcome to the Relationship Renovation Podcast. I'm Tarah Kerwin.
And my name is EJ Kerwin. And today we're very excited. We are blessed. We have a couple who we've known for quite some time. Tarah's known them longer than I have, Suzanne and Dave. They went through our model years ago, like 7, 8, 9 years ago. And they are just an incredible role model, have a really wonderful story on a couple of things. And one, just two people who are really, soulmates, people who are meant for each other. As you'll hear their story, it'll sort of fill in the blanks there, but also two people who have done a lot of individual work, a lot of work together, to really have the, loving, secure relationship that they want. So welcome, Suzanne. Welcome,
Dave. And I'm just so excited, grateful that our listeners get to hear your story and all of the amazing work you have done to be able to have this type of love and joy with each other. I mean, that's why we have you on here. You're an awesome model of what a secure, functioning relationship is. And thank you for letting us convince you to share your story.
Checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail.
Well, first, let's just start off. Because your story starts kind of so early in your lives, it'll also tell us a little bit about yourselves. Just tell us about, the beginning of Suzanne and Dave.
I let him tell this because I'm the villain in this story for a little bit.
Not the villain. We used to be in a club in high school. It was Junior Civitan, and they'd put on Special Olympics. We did things to raise money to, help the people that were disabled. And they would do dances and things like that. A buddy of mine decided that he wanted to go because there's a girl he's chasing. And you know what? It still gets me. We go, and he introduces, me to the girl he likes, and then Suzanne walks up, and dressed as a punk rocker, and the first time I saw her was like, holy shit, I'm going to marry this girl. She was she just had my heart, and it's almost like. They say, some people say, there's no such thing as love at first sight. Yeah, that's true. There definitely is love at first sight.
You were like 15 or 16. And for you, Suzanne, was it?
It was very much the same. We traded pictures, remember the school pictures?
The wallet size, absolutely.
Wrote to each other and traded those photos that night. Yeah.
Yep.
And I remember looking at that picture often and just being he was incredible. Yeah.
So high school sweethearts, felt all the butterflies, just that wow, that is my person for life. So how long were you guys together?
2.5 years.
Okay.
And what was that like? What were those 2.5 years like?
We went to different high schools, so we didn't get to hang out every day at school and so on and so forth. We got to do functions together through this club. We hung out just on weekends or whenever we could, talked on the phone probably every night at least. We kind of grabbed whatever time together we could. Yeah. So it was, and I think in a way, it was, I look back on that and it's like, that was, I don't want to say more special than, if I saw you every day, because it was just the excitement of, man, we're going to go hang out or we're going to get to do this or whatever. It wasn't like, oh, I saw you at school today and now we're going to go, oh,
Like
Lord.
every minute counts.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys are dating, you're like together, monogamous, right, in high school. And then what happens? Like any fights, anything like that?
No, not at all.
Nothing.
I don't recall a fight at all.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then take us to like
To the
we
time.
know that you guys, right, end up breaking up.
2.5 years. So you graduate from high school.
It was like before graduation, though, that we broke up. Yes.
How do you figure out like what pulled you apart?
I think a lot of it then was me being the people pleaser for my parents. My parents had an idea of what they wanted for me. They feel very badly about that now, or they did. They told, as they had Dave in their life quite a bit later,
Yeah.
they saw and they would say it to me all the time that, oh, wow. But he was riding his little bicycle and not super engaged in like what he wanted to do in the world. And parents, they think they know. And I definitely was heartbroken. I didn't want to do it if I think about what I wanted.
So you broke up with him.
I broke up with him and he tells everyone.
What was that like? What was having to do that?
It was awful.
Because it sounds like you felt like you had to do it.
I did feel that way.
You didn't want to do it. Your heart didn't want to do it, but you felt pressure too to make sure your parents were okay.
Yes.
Were you able to communicate that to him? Like,
no. Which is why it was so heartbreaking to him.
How did you make sense
understand.
of it?
I was extremely confused because it was almost like, you go out on a Saturday, it's like the best date ever. And then Sunday you get that text or whatever that I just don't want to see you anymore. So it's like, what? I'm trying to think, what did I do? I'm thinking also, well, let's see. Growing up, my dad was more like, if you want something, you work your butt off and then you get it. I'm not getting it for you.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I couldn't get a driver's license, so I couldn't get a car. So I had my little bike, as you called it.
I thought it was cute.
That's my man right there on that bike. That's the Huffy, that green one right there. Okay, sorry.
Mine may have been yellow. I'm not sure. But I think I felt that I wasn't holding my end of the bargain up, so to speak. I mean, she would have to drive me everywhere. If we went somewhere, she drove.
Yeah, that's so interesting because it's like sometimes there's things that happen to you in life that aren't like, she had this whole other thing going on that she was, sort of stuck, didn't have that choice, then carried out an action and it didn't make sense and it didn't really reflect anything about you. But I'm sure you like personalized it.
I took it all on myself. It was my fault.
Gosh,
what did I do?
That makes like so
I
much
could have
sense,
been
right?
more. I wasn't enough.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think in reality back at that time, I didn't think much of myself, in general overall. And I used to always think, man, in reality, I did marry out of my league. She's way out of my league.
It's not true.
So I think then it was more like, well, after a while, it's like, okay, I could see why. I look at myself and I wasn't this fantastic individual, and what am I offering?
But it wasn't that. So
it
interesting. But it
wasn't
that at all.
It wasn't that at all.
Little did you know until 30 years later.
Well, it's like so sad for your like that like 17, 18-year-old guy, right?
Right. So you guys end up breaking up. Suzanne, you were the breaker-upper.
I was.
Dave, you go into the military.
Yes.
Suzanne, you go off to college. And just let our listeners know, like, how many years did it go by where it took for you guys to come back together?
30 plus, I'd say.
30 plus years.
Without contact. I mean, when I went in the military in the beginning of boot camp, she wrote me letters. I came back after boot camp. We hung out for a little bit, and then I shipped off to my duty station. That was kind of the end of it.
That was the end of it.
That was the end of it.
End of it because you guys just moved on and got into new relationships?
I think so.
I'd probably say, yeah. I mean, it was just
life, right?
Yeah.
And what were those 30 years like? Just, that's a lot of time, but
Yeah, if you can condense that
for
down.
each of you individually.
30 years of not being happy. Just trial after trial. I went through a bad marriage, and then I had 2 probably worse relationships. So, yeah.
So you have this like beautiful 2.5 years and then a long time of not being happy.
So I used to look back, self-reflect, looking back like, what if and where would we be and so on and so forth. And just, again, rolling back to, wow, so what did I do? I still couldn't let that what did I do go.
Yeah. And how about for you, Suzanne?
Very similar, I'd say. I married a guy that my parents wanted me to marry, and that was a disaster. And again, didn't really, I stayed way longer. He moved to Phoenix and I didn't go. And I don't even know how I did that, since I have to people please everyone. I'm not really sure, but I stubbornly stayed my ground then, but it took a little bit still. And then kind of jumped into another relationship fairly quickly. I really wanted a family, and my stepkids were there, and loved them and still do very much. So I think, there were things, we both say that there are so many things that we got out of these mistakes that we made, but also, a lot of unhappiness, a lot of,
Well, yeah, it doesn't feel like you were connected in your hearts the way the two
Not
of
at all.
you were.
Yeah.
Instantaneously. Okay.
Yeah.
So then how do you guys merge back into each other's lives?
Facebook. The invention of Facebook.
Facebook.
That's,
Yeah.
How'd you find her? I know you found her.
In one of my last bad relationship, the lady I was going out with, her son played baseball, and I was at a baseball game. I don't even think she was there. And I was just sitting there, and I remember, I thought about her over those years all the time. I would come back and visit my family and see if I could just meet up with her, and it just never worked. Your parents didn't remember who I was. So I made that great impression on them. And
wow.
So one day I was just on Facebook flipping through, and I thought, man. So I just put a name in a search engine, and wow. And it popped up, and looked at the picture, verified it was you. And it was just like send her a message.
Wow.
And it's odd because it was like sent the message. I think it's like 2 months later, she responded. And then it got to point because our lives were going.
Right.
And then I would get to point, and I'd look, and then I would message her, and then 2 months later. So it was like
it's almost like your lives had to be in a certain state before you could actually merge. Yes. Because obviously that finally did happen, because you guys got married again in 2012? 15.
So you guys get back together. You go through sort of like a period of time where you're talking. Tell us a little. I know like the stories. I want to hear the story again though about when you're working. You aren't living in the same town again.
In the same state.
State. And you guys and you're talking to her at work. Could you just tell that?
Oh my gosh. So as things progressed more, that was after. So it got to a point where we talked back and forth. I would still come back and visit. We tried to connect, never worked out. And then just till the one time it did. So I met her like at Whataburger, and then there she was again. So
in a punk rocker costume, or just normal?
I should have done that.
She was actually leaving her mom. Her mom was in the hospital, and she's kind of coming back from that. So we met, and I was sitting in Whataburger, and she pulled up, and I remember she got out of the car, and I'm just like, damn, it was like
the same.
Right back from
that must have just been crazy feeling
from
internally.
the day that, it's just another day flowed in the next from our previous from high school. Yeah. Nothing changed.
Like 30 years had not passed.
30, nothing. It was just like the next day, like nothing ever happened.
Super comfortable.
The comfort was everything.
And then you guys start
and
communicating.
We start communicating, and I left a couple of days later, and I just like making a phone call. So I work for the post office, and I'm out walking, and you have nothing to, there's nothing to do, nobody to talk to. You're just wandering the streets alone.
Delivering mail.
Yeah.
But yes.
Oh yeah, that. But I mean, it got to the point where I remember calling her. I think I texted her and hey, what are you doing? Can you talk? Yeah. So I called her, and it was like 4 hours at least, or however long the phone lasted, my phone battery lasted, because it like dropped. I remember just like died, and I'm like, oh no, or whatever. Is she going to be like, well, this idiot, now he's hanging, we're done. He hangs up on me. But so I get back, I put a little charge on my phone. Hey, my phone died. Just let you know I didn't hang up on you, whatever. But it got to a point where on a daily basis, it was a call until the phones died.
So you guys haven't seen each other in 30 years. You were so tight then. What did you notice about each other that had changed or what was the same?
I think that he was still so much the same person, because you were always so kind and loving, but you also had been through the military. So you were very different in a lot of ways too. Just had been just super.
I had a driver's license then.
He did drive.
I finally got a driver's license.
Things had changed. Yeah, and he knew what he wanted. He talked to me a lot about things that he had struggled with in the past relationships, and talking about family, the importance of family and addiction, and all very deep things, because we both were like, we don't want to keep doing this. So we want to be sure that our values were aligned and things were, but I think you just had confidence more
Definitely.
than you had before.
And I think we laid everything out on the line. I mean, from everything I've done, well, a lot of the stuff I've done in military things, I'll never tell her. But relationships, like to every person I've dated or whatever, she literally knew everything.
You were very transparent.
And if, because I realized that if you're holding things back, or you're not, letting that person in to let them know this is everything I've done, things like that pop up actually turn out to be, can be a lot worse than, what it needs to be.
Well, and then taking that risk of losing each other again, it's like, let's just put it all out on the table, because I don't want to go through that pain again.
I'm done with that, yeah.
Because my question too was like, did you guys, when you came back together, did you tell Suzanne, like, gosh, for like 30 years, I took that all on myself, like I wasn't enough for you? Like, were you guys able to get to that point of where you understood, like, Suzanne broke up with you out of caretaking and people pleasing her parents, that it wasn't about you? Like, how early on did that conversation happen?
Actually, I think that more came around when you guys came into play. I kind of didn't, I don't know if I kind of let that side of it go. I just buried it. I'm more like, hey, we're talking again, we're back together. So,
let's go to a therapist so we can unbury all the stuff too. But we'll get to that, right? But so basically, well, what did you notice about Suzanne? Because Suzanne said, right, more confidence with Dave, all of this. 30 years. What did you notice about Suzanne? Because like you said, it's like a day passed, even though it was 30 years. But
to me, this sounds, I don't want it to sound bad, but first seeing her, she looked exactly like she did in high school. Yeah. She says no, but to me, she did. So with that, seeing that she looked exactly that way, she's always been so amazing. She's been such a loving person. She's always been just
a firefly.
She's been my person, and it's really kind of hard to explain otherwise.
No, I feel
so
that
when
energy.
I first saw that, it's like my person's back.
Yeah, you don't see like physical.
I don't see anything
energetic.
of just my person is there.
That is awesome.
So I think this is a great way to sort of begin to transition into, because you began working with Suzanne first. And a lot of the work was about codependency and you deciding what you want and not morphing who you are to the external.
Exactly.
How did that work with Tarah? And then how did it sort of layer into being with Dave?
Well, I dragged this poor guy. No, because Tarah's awesome. I just said, I don't trust myself and my decisions. And there was so much that we had worked on, but I was like, and I felt much more confident in my decisions, but I was like, can you meet him? And you were like, absolutely, which was great. And the fact that he was willing was even better. And we just kind of talked through what would the red flags be ahead of time, which is awesome because I don't want to have to figure that out. It just was really nice to be able to be like, this is what you tend to do, and this is what he tends to do in a relationship. And that could be not a good thing.
Yeah. Okay. So we're trying to not get you into a rescuer, codependent type of relationship early on, because you guys had just spent 30 years apart. You knew what you struggled with, which was like setting healthy boundaries and people pleasing. For you, Dave, you're just like, in the moment I'm talking to Suzanne again, I'm bearing all the other stuff. Like, I'm just focused on this. So most couples come into couples counseling because it's either that or they're done, right? You guys decided to come in for prevention. Because I was like, well, you guys are really happy and you're like glowing and you love each other and you're like on cloud 9 and how can we help you? How can we help you? Because that's so rare. But this is why it's so important, right? Because couples think they're uniquely broken because they end up coming in a crisis. No, it's that most couples don't do more preventative work to learn the skills to have what it takes to have a healthy relationship. So again,
why go to counseling when you're not on the verge of breaking up?
I think we both look back at it as truly you guys changed our lives. This program changed our lives. And we will always tell you that. And I'm going to get emotional now. But honestly, it is so important. And I do agree with you. People don't realize that. But to sit and work through, because we all carry all this baggage from our old stuff, and to say this relationship is our absolute priority and we want to do it right. We don't, obviously we're humans and we're going to mess up, but to have the plans in place and the things that you guys taught us to be able to deal with the things as they came up were huge for us. They were just huge because we were starting in a much healthier place, and that makes all the difference. I do understand why people come in at the end. But I really, truly believe that those things are already there if you could do it ahead.
Yeah.
How much more that sets you up for success. It's huge.
Do you know that really quick, the latest research, we love plugging these numbers, that it takes the average couple 6 years of being in misery to reach out to couples counseling. Can you imagine all of the pain and suffering?
Oh my goodness.
6 years. So I love the idea of let's learn the skills and really understand ourselves and each other so we can set ourselves up for success. Instead of having to do it, we're in this like so much suffering. Now we're resentful. This is why, we worked with you guys 7 years ago. We have not seen Dave and Suzanne as a couple in years. I think we met in 2020 during COVID because of a trauma in the family, but you guys have maintained, you have more than maintained, you have growth, you've grown, you've blossomed. What has been, I guess, what do you do? I heard prioritize relationship.
Yes, very much so. Has to happen.
And we know from the work we've done together, boundaries. How do we protect the two of us from the outside world? Because before we didn't, the outside world predicted us. So share with the world, Dave and Suzanne.
I think a lot of it is right out of the gate for me was developing that trust in her that I could tell her, like I said, we talked, I've known people that have said that the guy won't talk to the wife or girlfriend or whatever, won't share. And I've actually had friends that have done this. They won't share what is really bothering them because it will come back in the end and bite them. It'll be used against them.
Yeah, weaponized. Mm-hmm.
So I think that trust with her, and I kind of felt that like when she started talking with you, and then I went in And that was, for me, that was growth right out the gate. Okay, wow. I can talk to her and tell her and trust in her and confide and hey, this is what's bothering me. And not worry about her going, well, let me write
Using
that
it
down.
against you.
So remember 2 years ago when you told me or whatever, I never have that worry.
Which had been
just-
your experience in other
That has been my
relationships.
experience 100%.
But then also, because I remember when we were working with you guys as a couple, we like to do the somatic thing, like, oh, Suzanne, I noticed your face is getting redder. Dave, because of your military background, right? Like boxing, compartmentalizing, deeper stuff. And like, I feel like it was such a gift to be able to be with you guys in this organic way, to be like, Dave, like, notice your jaws clenching just a little, help you get more vulnerable. But like you said, that trust piece, that you can be vulnerable with each other, that you won't use it against each other. Like that was because I feel like both of you in your past relationships had like no emotional safety. I guess that's where I would.
So one of the primary tenets of our method is becoming your best selves together.
Yeah.
Right. And you came in, you weren't in crisis. So it really was centered around both of you personally growing in the context of your relationship. And then at the beginning of our method, we take you through each of your individual timelines, right? And we, from like 0 to when you got together, and you guys had known each other for a long time, but what did you learn that was like deeper about each other, that you were like, whoa, what did I learn about my partner in like where their areas of growth were?
That was just really powerful for me. I think about that still when we're engaging in something, just because I knew so much of his story, but hearing it from his mouth to you guys, having you guys ask the kind of thoughtful questions you do, just made me feel so, all the things you went through, it just made me really understand you better. And it's crazy to say that, because I feel like there wasn't a lot of new information. It's just that it was done so much more deeply, and something that probably two people talking wouldn't get to in that way.
Well, so you developed more compassion,
Huge
and
amounts
empathy,
of compassion
and
and respect.
Yeah. And what you said is important too, because I think some couples who aren't in crisis, right? Like our at-home program, you can get through that through questions, but like sitting, right, where there's two other people observing your every movement and going somatically and recognizing like body language
Can't
and stuff,
hide
like
things. Yeah.
It's
Oh.
yeah. Well, you probably still could, because we're not that good. But
Yeah, you are.
But it helps you go that much deeper. But that's the safety piece. Like even when we have couples in crisis, we take them through the timeline of like birth until they met. And usually, most of the time, this empathy and compassion starts to build, which then is the building block for emotional safety to then be able to be vulnerable. But it just
In
takes
difficult
some
moments,
times to
'cause
get there. And I feel like for you guys, you had 30 years of being in past relationships with no emotional safety. You're like, we will do it. I mean, for you guys to commit weekly, financially, everything, when you weren't in crisis, when you're like living your best lives together, says so many things about your relationship and the prioritization. And we're not sitting here saying it has been all rainbows and butterflies.
No.
Right? But
absolutely
Oh,
not.
no.
tell, right, the world, the listeners, how you have been able to navigate difficult times together instead of separating.
By doing it together, basically. I mean, it's got to be a team effort. I can rely on her for anything. If I can't carry that load at 100%, I mean, she'll pick it up. And vice versa. If she can't, I will definitely be glad to pick up the other slack of that. But I'm just trying to think of how to explain it better.
Well, I got it. So how do you help each other grow in the areas that the other person doesn't totally want to grow, or is struggling, right? Like, like
the dishwasher.
I'll throw something out with you, right? Like emotions, right? Like when they come up, you have a thing that a lot of guys do, and we're like, don't show that. Like, that's not safe. That's not what people want to see, right? So that's not your instinct. How do you support each other? Because there's got to be flip sides where there's areas of growth that she doesn't want to necessarily naturally engage in. Like, how do you support each other and give each other that helpful nudge and not not a kick in the ass. A kick in the ass, not a kick in the ass.
Right.
That's a really good question. I feel like you are much better at being a little more vulnerable. I see it, and then I just a little bit, and then I know how to come in and really, talk to you in a way that feels safe rather than trying to let you just shove that down, because I know that you need to talk about it and you are used to compartmentalizing everything. So, but I also know when it's he needs to do that first. There are times that
attunement.
Yeah. And I've learned that over time, like when it just needs to be he with himself for a while and then come out. And for my own self, I think just learning the same things, safety and speaking and not allowing I have to work on that, my own self, just not allowing myself to shut down and really say what, because he isn't going to, reminding myself he's different. He's not going to do.
Yeah, I want you to have your voice. I want you to be able to say what you need to say.
Right.
You don't want her to morph.
I don't.
In order to please you.
Exactly. I've had enough of that. I want you to be you because, when I met her, falling for her she was this just amazing person, outgoing and just, hi, bubbly and everything else. And when we got back together again, she was that way, but I knew there was more.
Yeah.
So everything and she was beat down in so many ways. Mm-hmm. And just watching her grow.
We got you.
I'm just super proud of her. It's like,
Proud of you too. Very proud of you.
What's that like for you guys? You guys didn't have that experience for 30 years. You had 30 years of trying to find people who really cared enough to accept you for who you were, to be attuned. And then in your late 40s, early 50s, coming back to that person. What's that like?
Why do we wait so long?
I know. We do that a lot. We are so grateful. I think we feel a lot of gratefulness all the time, which it helps so much in dealing with everything else in life that happens. Yeah. But yes, we often kick ourselves and say, more in a laughing, joking way, but wow, we took a long way around getting back together. Long path. Broken Road. That was our song at our wedding. And it was God, to us, that's what it was. Road. Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I will say I can relate with EJ and I, just like when you find the person that you can feel safe with, that's when you can do all the work.
Yes.
Definitely.
But you can't do that unless you have that safety. And so it's like, so many people never get to find it. So it is that gratitude of like, even though it's messy and it feels super uncomfortable and it's like, it's like knowing that like when you develop emotional safety, that's when you can grow. Because otherwise it's too scary. Like if I can't count on one person in my life to have my back, I'm just going to not be uncomfortable. But growing is uncomfortable. And I love that you guys are helping yourselves be your best selves together. It's why we created what we did after our own, I'm out of here.
Exactly.
Leaving. I didn't sign up for this, but I love you.
So, I think it's also important for people to hear this. Are there still difficult moments?
Of course. Goodness sakes. A lot of it is external. But even the littlest stuff, like you said, the dishwasher, we joke still about the dishwasher. We've talked about the dishwasher since we got together.
Since with you guys, we
Oh,
talked about the dishwasher.
I'm the raccoon loader.
One looks like a Scandinavian architect. The other looks like a raccoon on crack. So,
I'm the crack
It
one.
is the truth. It is the truth. But we've had a lot of external sadness. We've lost a lot of people.
We've gone through family members and friends and
a lot of grief. And but that's been, again, a thing that has just brought us closer because we aren't afraid to feel all those feelings and say, you know what, today's another day where I'm missing my mom or
we fight together. I almost said we fight together. If there's a fight to be had, we are so much better together than apart.
Yep.
I mean, we have actually learned to take things head on. And if it's a head on thing, we're running at it hard.
Yeah.
And the boundaries which I still work on, let's be honest. But I mean, I think we went from going on a vacation together where I called my parents every few hours and he went, not everyone does that.
or the phone rings. It's like, I got to get this. Why?
Yeah.
There's a green and a red button.
Really?
Another thing called voicemail. And if it's important, they'll leave a message. You can go
things
that route.
that I just didn't even know. And
I used to have this little internal song for you when you come in, here I come to save the day, the Mighty Mouse. Because Suzanne would
Well, yeah.
she did it all.
Well, I got one for you.
Okay.
Okay. So, I mean, you two are two of the most kind and giving people I've ever met in my life. Literally,
It's so true.
Other people that you guys have helped over the years. I mean, not one, not two, but many people, right?
Yes, I have goosebumps.
How about that balance between making us a priority and everybody, all the care we give to other people? How has that been and how is that?
I think because we're so aligned with what we feel and want to do for people, that helps. Because if one of us was no, and the other one wasn't,
and
that would make it really difficult. But we don't have date nights. I will tell the truth. We keep saying we're going to have date nights and we don't. We still struggle.
Yep.
Yeah.
We still struggle with certain things, but we do a lot together. We work out together. We played D&D last night with some friends that I've never played in my life.
We're official D&D nerds.
Yeah, we're nerds now. And just finding new
Late
things.
Stage
Late stage, yeah.
That's what I said. Who knew at 59 I would learn to play
didn't want me
D&D?
then, so.
Oh my God.
So we just try to, have a lot of family events with the kids all together. And, we definitely, though, still, if one of us needs to talk, we say so. And that's different because before we'd just shove it down and try to figure it out later. And now I think we're better at saying, okay, this isn't going away. So we need to talk about it. Or also everything that was maybe more dramatic and from my old life, is not the same anymore. It's not like that. So I don't feel, because I'm a feeling kind of girl.
Yes,
and you're a military man. And so therefore.
So I have no feelings. So therefore I have no feelings.
Yeah, feelings, but they're. Yeah. So we've had to figure that out. But so many of the things that you guys gave us so many tools.
Well, I think because you guys did all the work, we were there to help facilitate and support you. But there were all these people in the background, all the different obstacles. You could have easily said, this is just too much. We've got too many people that are too hurt right now that are broken. And what do you mean? You and Dave are going to get back together, whatever that was. Yeah. And our job was to help you follow your intuition, your gut instinct, your heart, and to prioritize yourselves and each other first. Then you can deal with all of that external noise. And it's so great that you did that, because if you hadn't, I don't know if you guys would be sitting here together, right? Because you had a difficult external situations when you came back together 30 years later.
Oh, yes.
And what would, right? Because now you have been married for 9.
This will be 10
years in October. What would people close to you now say about Suzanne and Dave? Like if I was just going to ask one of your kids, one of your best friends, like, hey, give me 2-3 adjectives to describe Suzanne and Dave and their relationship.
I get goals a lot of times from the younger people at church. They
Yeah.
just they're always teasing us that
we seem to adopt kids and people from church.
Still do.
I mean, we have two of our great friends, Kevin and Shelley, fantastic people. And their kids are, as a matter of fact, last Sunday at church, Kevin was there. And their daughter is like, she's like, hi, literally in front of him, comes up to me, oh, hi, I love you, my real dad. And it's like, he's right there. And it's almost like, I mean, it's out of fun and humor, but it's like, we've taken on so many kids. And so it's just like, everybody has like drawn to us because of who we are.
Unconditional love. Like, what would that adjective be?
I think that is it. Just, it's not judgment. Neither of us feel.
It's a welcoming.
Yeah.
Do you think that's part of that 30 years apart?
Yes.
Is it going through all of that?
Yes.
Has left you apart?
Knowing what I had and had lost, it's not doing that again.
Neither.
So.
Yeah. No, I think that does play into it as well. Yeah. You do realize what you didn't have.
Look at what the two of you have built together is now impacting in the community, within your family and the community. Okay.
So you had a couple of questions that you wanted to end with.
I promise.
Let's bring out the heavy artillery, so to speak.
How are we doing on time? Oh, yeah. All right.
Oh, yeah.
So I might do 2 to 3 questions. Would that be okay?
Yes, it would be okay.
Because I feel like I might know one of these, but I just want to see if it's the same because this is years ago.
Okay.
What is your go-to ritual or habit as a couple that helps you reconnect when life gets hectic?
Actually, will you say first?
No, you go.
I was going to say the newer thing, which that means Tarah won't be right. Well, maybe she will be, but
the newer thing being?
We now make sure to set our alarm 15 minutes ahead of
exactly what I was going to, okay.
When we need to get up and get going. And we go and snuggle in bed. We just snuggle for like 15 minutes.
And that is the best, that's like the best 15 minutes of the day.
And it starts you off.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
You set your alarm for everybody listening 15 minutes early just to snuggle.
Just to snuggle so you can still be sleepy.
Fill that bucket before the day starts.
Yeah. Because his hugs have always been my safe place. So just getting to, before you go run around and start going crazy.
Yep.
So can I tell you what my answer was?
Tell me.
Vegas. Your yearly Vegas.
Oh
Vegas,
baby.
Yep.
Because you guys you'd be so busy and helping all these people and taking in all these families and children and animals even maybe.
We still do that.
We've still done that.
But then you'd go to Vegas and you're like, it's our Vegas time.
Yep.
And I'm like,
and we still do that.
I'm so happy you still do that. But now you do a daily thing, not just a yearly thing.
Well, that's a good example of we talk to couples about having a big thing that's annual, but then having some daily chunk, 15 minutes.
I think it's because we never got to the point where we've lost out on our date nights because life is hectic but so now it's like, well, we need to get something back or get something in.
Yeah.
And it was like
super easy.
It's great. I mean, you can do a date night, but if you go to a movie, what do you talk? You hold hands, whatever, you're kind of not really present. Yeah. And things like that.
Yeah.
So that 15 to 20 minutes and try and push it is it time? And I'm like looking at my phone, it's time to go. No, we still got 5 more minutes. I'm going to be late, but whatever.
I don't even worry.
So
I know ours is just playing Yahtzee in front of the fireplace. For 20 minutes, kids are in the back room because we've accepted that we might not be able to get out on a date night weekly, monthly, quarterly. We try. But we still have those moments of quality time where we're just connecting. Okay, 2 more questions. I love this song or this question. If your relationship had a theme song now, what would it be?
I kind of had a couple of them. One is a Kenny Chesney song is "Don't Blink."
Oh, yes.
Oh, I love that.
That's a really good
And
one.
then Alan Jackson, Remember When.
Yes, those are both really good.
Can you just tell us a little bit about each one? Like why?
The Alan Jackson one is kind of like they knew each other long ago and they kind of separated, but they got back together. And it's more of now the kids who've grown up and they moved away and we're older and we're not all of us are gray. Some of us are
A little more so than
a little more so
Intentionally.
than others. I took on the salt. She still got the pepper. So it's kind of like, and they're still in love, and it's through everything,
All the changes.
all the changes, they're still there for each other.
Oh, I love that.
I love that too.
So you're in agreement with your theme songs.
I am. I'm very bad at remembering songs or names.
I know, me too. I just like remember verses.
Yeah. If you tell me, I can sing them. But yeah.
Okay, I have maybe two more. Is that okay? Okay. This is important, right? Because we know what we would say to a couple who's on the fence about couples therapy. We'd be like, get it now. It's a good thing. But what would you guys say to a couple who's on the fence about going to couples therapy?
Do it.
I'm the same. Do it.
It would be the best thing you could do to spend your money and your time on over so many things.
I think a lot of people are hesitant because of counseling, therapy. What is this they're gonna ask me all these questions, and it's hard.
What if they think I'm bad?
Yeah.
What if they're judgment?
They're gonna look at me
I
and be
can see
like,
that.
"Wow, this dude, you need to dump this guy. He is a real piece of work."
It's not like that.
It
It's
is,
so
yeah.
there's no judgment, and your therapists are here for you.
Yeah.
So you have nothing but support. And yes, you're going to ask some questions, but I think the growth that happens and the good things that come out of that is way higher than any discomfort you're going to feel. It's just, I do
that's where we
credit
found
you
it
too, as much
unsafe.
as I know you want to credit us, but we just would not be where we are. We wouldn't. And we know that. And we say that often to people. And that's when we get you were getting divorced or you were separating.
Oh, we're
and
so
we
sorry
say,
about
no,
your problems. I'm like,
we actually
nope.
chose to do this ahead of time because we really, really wanted to do it right. And you guys are amazing and your program is amazing. And
So I guess that the final question is, because you have been with us, gosh, we started in 2016. You started coming to us in 2017 because we started our business. Right now, reflecting, right, like 8 years later, what does relationship renovation mean to you now?
I have constant flashbacks, because there's always something that's going to come up in human relations. And
we have those tools that, we know to fall back on. It's our Bible of how to navigate our marriage. And when things pop up, it's just like flip that page. Oh yeah. A, B, C, D, these are kind of the steps, or this is what you look at.
I've added 100 more pages since y'all have been.
that's insane. We need to update.
I know, right?
Can I just share one last thing? Because I know we're running out of time, but you're such a, I want to say glowing, but I want to say glowing, a glowing example of developing emotional safety within your relationship so that you can be whoever you need to be, right? The freedom to give and be loved in the way that we each uniquely deserve. And so thank you, because it is such freedom and so many people don't even know what emotional safety feels like. And we always say it is easier to be alone than to be in a relationship where you feel alone, right? But when you're developing emotional safety within the two of you, it's like life is already stressful. We know this. Way more manageable together. So thank you. Thank you for the work you have done to model this to our community, to our listeners. You guys are awesome. And I'm sure listeners, if you want to reach out, Dave and Suzanne are more than happy to respond back to any questions.
Definitely.
And we've had other listeners reach out to other couples who've been on our show in the past. Like, is it okay if we contact them? We're like, absolutely, but let's make sure first. So.
Yes, definitely.
We give you,
Well, thank you.
permission.
We've been looking forward to doing this for really, honestly, years.
Time. Yes.
And so
For years, I know.
like with your relationship and you guys coming together, things happen at the right time. And so very appreciative of you guys coming on and sharing your story.
And just like we end every session where we have you guys look at each other and say one thing you really appreciate about the other person. I think that would be a great ending to this episode.
Just your ability to show that heart that you have. You now have such a way of bringing that out and just really sharing your feelings. And I don't think anyone ever questions how you feel about them ever.
One thing, and this is really hard because it's like the pool is so big on things I appreciate. I appreciate that you're always there for me, that I can, if I have a question or if something's happening in my life where I need to, like, I got to talk to somebody, and you're always my somebody I can talk to, that I never have to worry about, oh geez, it's, you're my safe space. And I appreciate that you've given me that safety net. So
Do the same.
Well, thank you once again. It's always been great to sit with you guys and talk, and thanks for your willingness to share your story, because it's a beautiful story.
It's a beautiful story, and we love that we still get to be with you in different ways now, but awesome ways. Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you know somebody that would just love to hear this episode and story, please share. We always love reviews, so thank you out there for doing that. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other.
Bye-bye.
It does wonders. Bye-bye.